If you haven't flown in the last 6 months, listen to me very carefully because the airport you remember no longer exists. The place with friendly agents behind counters, paper tickets in hand, and people guiding you step by step has quietly disappeared. As we move into 2026, air travel is entering what industry insiders call a silent shift. But what I see every day looks more like a digital wall. Airports and airlines are replacing human contact with aggressive automation, pushing everyone through a contactless corridor that starts at the curb and ends at your seat. For younger travelers glued to their phones, this feels efficient. For passengers over 65, it is often a trap waiting to close. Just a few weeks ago, I met a couple I'll call Robert and Mary, both in their early 70s and experienced travelers. They followed every rule that used to matter. They arrived 2 hours early. They printed their itineraries. They stood patiently in line. When they reached the front, there was no agent, only a row of kiosks. Overnight software updates caused the machine to reject Robert's passport scan because of glare from the lights above. By the time they found a staff member to help, the system had already locked the flight. They stood there watching their plane through the window 2 hours early and were told they could not board. That mistake cost them $1,500, a missed grandson's graduation, and a dangerous spike in Robert's blood pressure that required medical attention right there in the terminal. This kind of situation happens daily now because the rules of engagement have changed. If you don't understand the new playbook, you aren't just risking your vacation, you are risking your health and your finances. My name is Mila. I've been a flight attendant on major international routes for 15 years, serving millions of passengers and witnessing everything from births at 30,000 feet to emergency landings and emotional family reunions. Recently, though, my role has shifted. I spend less time serving drinks and more time calming exhausted, shaking seniors who barely survive the airport experience. I refuse to let travelers be left behind by technology. In this video, I'm not offering generic packing tips. I'm explaining why these changes exist, how they affect your body and safety, and exactly what you must do to protect yourself. This information matters, so take a moment to focus. Let's begin with the biggest shift already rolling through major airports. The first major change is the quiet disappearance of the paper boarding pass and the rapid rise of biometric boarding. By 2026, many major US and international airports aim to use your face as your boarding pass. You walk to the gate, a camera scans your face, matches it to a database or passport photo, and the door opens. There's no code to scan and no person checking your ID. This isn't about improving your safety, it's about speed. Airlines are obsessed with turnaround times because every minute a plane sits at the gate costs thousands of dollars. Facial recognition boards planes about 10 minutes faster, and that is the only metric driving this change. I saw how damaging this can be when a passenger named Mrs. Higgins, 78 years old, arrived at the gate with her printed boarding pass in hand. That piece of paper made her feel secure. The agent wasn't standing at the podium, only monitoring the door. The gate had nothing but a camera. Mrs. Higgins tried to show her paper to the lens. The system flashed red. The line behind her grew impatient. She panicked, dropped her purse, and by the time she boarded, she was breathing fast and trembling. She told me she felt like she didn't belong. That moment of public confusion caused a sharp cortisol spike. For seniors with heart or blood pressure issues, that stress right before a long flight is genuinely dangerous. Here's how you protect yourself. In the US and many Western countries, biometric boarding is technically optional, even though it's presented as mandatory. If you don't want to use it, don't wait until you're standing in front of the camera. As soon as you reach the gate area, find the agent and calmly say, "I am opting out of biometric boarding. I require manual processing." They may push back and say it's faster to use the camera. Stay polite and firm. By law, they must process you manually. If you choose to use biometrics, remove glasses and hats before reaching the camera. Reading glasses are one of the most common reasons scans fail. Preparation prevents panic. This next issue, however, is far more serious than embarrassment. It involves security scanners and medical devices, and for some passengers, it can be a matter of life and death. The old metal detectors are disappearing, replaced by large, round CT scanners that look more like hospital equipment than airport security. These machines create detailed three-dimensional images of your carry-on bags, allowing passengers to leave laptops and liquids inside. That speeds up the line, which security agencies love. To maintain that speed, officers shout commands nonstop, creating a high-pressure environment where travelers feel rushed and afraid to ask questions. I need you to understand how dangerous that pressure can be. A passenger named Arthur once went through security wearing an insulin pump, a continuous glucose monitor, and a pacemaker. The agent kept yelling to keep moving. Arthur didn't want to slow things down, so he walked through the scanner and sent his medical supplies through the X-ray belt. The magnetic and radiation fields in some newer scanners can damage sensitive medical electronics. Midway through the flight, Arthur's pump malfunctioned. He went into a hypoglycemic episode over the Atlantic. We had to call for a doctor on board. It was terrifying, and it was completely preventable. If you use a pacemaker, insulin pump, cochlear implant, or neurostimulator, you cannot follow the crowd blindly. When you reach the front of the security line, stop before placing your bag on the belt. Look directly at the officer and say clearly, "I have a medical device attached to my body. I cannot go through the scanner, and my medical supplies cannot go through the X-ray. You have a legal right to a manual inspection. Do not let anyone rush you into risking your health to save 30 seconds. Carry a TSA notification card if you can. Holding a physical card signals authority and stops the process immediately. Knowing the rules protects you. Unfortunately, the next issue costs seniors more money than almost anything else in modern air travel. It's called the bag drop hard lock, and it has no flexibility whatsoever." In the past, agents could override systems and help late arriving passengers. That discretion is gone. New airline software locks baggage check-in exactly 45 minutes before domestic flights and even earlier for international departures. The button on the agent's screen literally grays out. Even if they want to help, they can't. I've watched agents cry because they couldn't override the system for kind, confused travelers. One grandmother, Susan, arrived 50 minutes before her flight to attend her granddaughter's wedding. She struggled with the self-tagging kiosk, spending 8 minutes figuring out how to attach the label. By the time she reached the belt, she was 4 minutes past the cutoff. Her bag was rejected. Because she had a basic economy ticket, missing the flight voided the entire fare. She lost the ticket and had to pay over $1,000 for a new one-way flight. Standard travel insurance usually won't cover this, so the loss came straight out of her pocket. You need to adopt the 90-minute rule. Ignore departure time and focus on boarding time. Subtract 90 minutes, and that is when you must arrive at the airport. If self-tagging kiosks confuse you, don't struggle for 10 minutes. If you can't figure it out in 60 seconds, look for a special assistance line. If the line is long and you're approaching the cutoff, advocate for yourself and say, "I am within 10 minutes of the baggage cutoff." Those words trigger urgency. Now we move from the terminal to the gate, where one of the most dangerous mistakes happens: forced gate checking. You've heard the announcement. The flight is full, overhead bins are full, and roller bags must be checked. Agents move quickly, tagging bags and sending them down the chute. What they don't ask is what's inside. I'll never forget Mr. Henderson, flying from Chicago to London. Pressured at the gate, he handed over his carry-on. Inside were his blood pressure medication and his CPAP machine. 3 hours into the flight, turbulence and stress triggered a medical episode. His medication was 30,000 feet below us. We nearly diverted the plane. When we landed, his bag didn't even arrive. It was misrouted to another country. Lithium batteries add another layer of danger. If a battery ignites in the cabin, we can handle it. In the cargo hold, it can bring down the aircraft. This is why you must use the medical bag exemption. Medical devices and medications do not count toward your carry-on limit. Keep them in a separate, clearly identifiable pouch. When an agent reaches for your bag, remove that pouch and say, "I am removing medical supplies and lithium batteries as required by safety regulations." Do not ask. Tell them. If they push back, state that the bag contains exempt medical equipment. They will stop immediately. Paperwork is the next invisible barrier. If you're an American traveling domestically, Real ID is fully enforced in 2026. Without the star on your license, you will not pass security. Internationally, Europe's new travel authorization system is catching many travelers off guard. Airlines face heavy fines for boarding passengers without approval, so agents show no flexibility. I've seen couples denied boarding for anniversary trips because they didn't realize approval was required, even though it's not a visa. Apply only through official government websites and do it at least a week in advance. Scam sites charge inflated fees and look legitimate. Preparation here saves heartbreak. Another issue that angers me deeply is wheelchair assistance. Many passengers assume the airline controls this service, but it's often handled by understaffed third-party contractors. I've watched seniors left waiting in hot jet bridges with no bathrooms or supervision. One woman fell and fractured her wrist while trying to find a restroom. If you need a wheelchair and have a connection or medical concern, do not wait silently. Speak up. If assistance doesn't arrive within 15 minutes, ask any uniformed employee to contact the complaint resolution official. That title carries weight. Finally, we need to discuss seating. Basic economy isn't just cheaper, it's a restrictive contract designed to make you uncomfortable. For seniors, middle seats are a health risk, increasing dehydration, stiffness, and blood clot risk. Always choose an aisle seat if mobility is an issue. If needed, explain it as a medical requirement, not a preference. I once helped a man named Arthur who had recently undergone hip surgery. He was placed in a middle seat and didn't want to disturb the sleeping passenger beside him. He stayed frozen in one position for 6 hours. When we landed, he couldn't stand. Paramedics had to lift him from the seat. That situation began with a booking choice that seemed harmless. When you book, avoid fare codes linked to basic economy and look for main cabin options. If you can't afford an upgrade, speak to the gate agent early and explain your medical need for aisle access. They are more likely to help when safety is involved. We've covered check-in, security, gate procedures, documentation, assistance services, and seating. But there's one final issue that surprises many travelers: hydration. The cabin environment is dry, and many seniors limit water intake to avoid bathroom trips. Combined with dehydration from middle seating and stress, this can lead to dizziness, fatigue, and illness. Drink water consistently and plan bathroom breaks. Your health depends on it. The truth is, modern air travel isn't designed with seniors in mind. It's designed for speed and profit, but knowledge gives you power. When you understand the systems, the rules, and the language that triggers help, you regain control. My goal is simple. I want to see you board calmly, sit comfortably, and arrive safely without unnecessary stress or danger. This new era of travel doesn't have to defeat you. With preparation, confidence, and the willingness to advocate for yourself, you can move through the digital wall without fear. I'll keep doing my part in the cabin, watching out for you, speaking up when things go wrong, and sharing what I see every day. Travel should connect families and create memories, not cause emergencies. Take these lessons with you, and you'll be ready for whatever 2026 brings.